Let me ask you something honest. Have you ever met someone who talked the loudest in the room, interrupted everyone, acted like an expert on everything, and something inside you just knew they had no idea what they were talking about? And then you've met the opposite, the quiet one, the one who says, "I'm not sure, actually." And somehow, that person turned out to be the sharpest in the room. Here's what psychology says about that. There is one habit, one thing that takes 10 seconds that instantly reveals how intelligent someone actually is. Not their degree, not their vocabulary, not how confident they sound. And here's the part that makes people uncomfortable. Most people fail it without even realizing it. Stay with me until the third point, because that's where this gets truly eye-opening, and it will permanently change the way you read people. Imagine two people walk into a meeting. Someone asks a difficult question neither of them has a perfect answer to. Person A fills the silence immediately, talks fast, sounds certain, covers the gaps with confidence. Person B pauses, says, "That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. Here's what I do know." Then they give a measured, honest answer. Now, who do you actually trust? Who sounds smarter to you? Most people instinctively say person B. But here's what's fascinating. Most people behave like person A. Why? Because psychology shows us that humans confuse confidence with competence, and we've been trained to perform certainty even when we have none. That habit, that performance, is one of the clearest signals of low intelligence psychology has identified. It even has a name. In 1999, psychologists David Dunning and Dunning-Krueger published one of the most replicated findings in all of psychology. People who know the least about a subject consistently rate themselves as more competent than people who actually know a lot. Read that again. The less you know, the more capable you think you are. Why does this happen? Because intelligence requires self-awareness. To know what you don't know, you first need enough knowledge to understand the gaps. Someone who barely understands a topic can't see the gaps, so they feel like there are none. Here's what this looks like in everyday life. The person who has read one article on nutrition and now lectures everyone about their diet. The person who watched a documentary on history and speaks with absolute authority. The person who gets a little power at work and suddenly has an opinion on everything. The 10-second habit that exposes this? Watch how someone responds when they don't know something. Do they admit it, or do they talk louder? That reaction, in 10 seconds or less, tells you almost everything. Why truly intelligent people say, "I don't know," and what that actually signals. Here's something counterintuitive. Saying, "I don't know," is not a sign of weakness. Psychology calls it intellectual humility, and research consistently shows it is one of the strongest predictors of actual intelligence and long-term success. Think about it this way. Your brain is like a map. A less detailed map has no blank spaces. Everything looks filled in, even if the details are wrong. A more detailed, accurate map has clearly marked regions that say unexplored territory. Intelligent people have better maps, and better maps have more acknowledged gaps. This is why the most intelligent people in any room are often the ones asking the most questions, not giving the most answers. They're not performing knowledge, they're building it. And here's the part that changes how you see people. Next time you're in a conversation and someone asks a hard question, watch the room. The person who pauses, looks slightly uncomfortable, and then gives a careful answer, pay attention to that person. That discomfort is the feeling of an honest brain working in real time. The person who answers instantly with total certainty, that's often the sound of a brain not working hard enough. The habit itself, and how to use it on yourself. Here's the uncomfortable part. This isn't just about reading other people. It's about reading yourself. Because the Dunning-Krueger effect doesn't happen to other people. It happens to everyone, including you, including me. The research shows that even highly intelligent people fall into it, in the areas where they're weakest. So here's the 10-second habit. Before you state something as a fact, pause for 10 seconds and ask yourself one question. How do I actually know this? Not, do I believe it? Not, does it feel true? How do I know it? If the answer is solid, a direct experience, a verified source, clear reasoning, say it with confidence. If the answer is shaky, something you heard once, something that just feels logical, something you've assumed for years without checking, say it differently. Instead of, "That's how it works," try, "I think that's how it works, but I'm not totally certain." That single shift does something remarkable. It makes people trust you more, not less. It signals that when you do speak with certainty, you mean it. It separates you from the noise. And over time, it rewires your brain to think more accurately because you stop letting the feeling of knowing substitute for actually knowing. Here's the truth most people never learn. Real intelligence doesn't feel like certainty. It feels like curiosity. It feels like a slight discomfort when a question doesn't have an easy answer. It feels like the quiet person in the corner asking, "Wait, but why?" After watching this, you now understand why the loudest voice in the room is often the least reliable one, why saying "I don't know" is a signal of a high-functioning brain, and why a simple 10-second pause before you speak can separate real thinking from performance. You can't control how smart other people are, but you can control how honestly your own brain engages with the world. And that's where it starts. If that gave you something to think about, subscribe, because every week we break down the psychology truths most people walk past their entire lives without ever noticing.